how do you respond to disrespect?
A lot of silence. So often, if you just wait 10 seconds, you're going to add distance between what they said and how you're going to respond. Because what they're wanting when somebody's disrespectful is the same way with belittling. They're saying this to get something out of you. Because in that moment, they're feeling something, whether it's a fear, an insecurity, whatever it is. You're not going to deliver on that same plane that they are. You're not going to be on that same level. So if somebody says something disrespectful, you give enough silence to make sure that it's a little awkward. And then you're going to say something to the effect of, that's below my standard for a response. And then all of a sudden, they feel like the dynamic has been flipped. Something as simple as that. All of a sudden, you're now making it clear that what you just said was beneath me. And I don't respond to things that are beneath me in that way. And so now you're taking control of it. Now you're leaning into it. What they thought was meant as a disrespect, they're now understanding that they're in the wrong place.
I was with somebody yesterday who had just visited their mother. And I said to her, like, how did it go? And she said, well, it was fine, but it's my mother. And the thing that drives me crazy is she is extremely disrespectful to anybody that is waiting on us at a restaurant, like so much so that the owner came over and said something to her. Is there a way to respond when someone else is throwing a fit or is being disrespectful? Is there something that you could say to somebody in that situation?
Depends how your relationship is with that person. I would advise that whoever they're disrespecting, you don't join in it and you make it clear that that is not your behavior. So you're going to be a person that is kind to this person. So I've had it before where my grandfather came with me to Walmart. This is a terrible time. And he was in a bad mood and he was crotchety to everybody we talked to. But I was the one that was, thank you so much for helping us. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Being overly, hey, I understand. Thank you. And then you have that conversation. I had to have that conversation with my grandfather. And
How did you do that?
I had to put a boundary, a very firm boundary of, if this is the way you're going to talk to people, I can't come with you. If you don't change the tone in which you're talking to people, Papa, I can't come. And so it was, what am I saying? You're not being respectful to people. Yes, I am. I would not be telling you this if you had been respectful to people. It's the people you love, and often you have to be their biggest mirror of protecting them also for how other people see them. And so I love my grandfather. I want other people to love him. And that means I also have to make sure that I need to prepare him in a loving way of being very direct. If this is how you're talking to people.
Has he changed?
He has.
Wow.
We also just don't go to Walmart. So
Oh my gosh.
It's just saying I feel. Instead of I think, it is I feel. If that is a feeling that you actually have. In other words, separating the person from the problem. For example, let's say you need to criticize a proposal that somebody had or a presentation.
Okay.
Instead of using the word you with it, your presentation, that's going to get them defensive. Instead, make it a third person, the proposal, the presentation. The presentation could benefit from a few changes instead of your proposal wasn't that great. So you find ways of objectifying you're separating the person from the problem itself. So that's a way of expressing how you feel about a certain thing.
Can I stop you right there?
Of course.
Because I immediately see an application as a parent or as a roommate where, as a parent, personally, I will throw myself under the bus here. I have never done that. Your room is a mess. Your stuff is everywhere. It's accusation, accusation, accusation. So how would you use this technique to be more effective at communicating when you're talking to kids or you're talking to somebody that you live with and you want to use this strategy of removing the kind of you're wrong from the thing that you want them to do?
Can I give the listeners a thought?
Absolutely. You can do whatever you want.
So let's say, well, you and I are at a table right now, Mel, and let's say you and I are disagreeing about something.
Okay.
And in the middle of the room, let's just put this as the problem.
Okay.
This is the problem.
Yep.
This is how I see the problem.
Okay.
And you're going to argue, this is how you see the problem.
Right.
Great. Now, the issue between us is not each other. It's the problem. But in the real conversation, it's hard to get out of that. Instead, it's me pulling my chair and saying, Mel, come over here. Come sit next to me. Let's talk about this problem. What are we going to do about this? So instead of, your room's not clean, I see the room still isn't clean. What should we do about it? It's that idea of trying to get them to, let's look at the problem together. How do you find ways to, that's what I mean by separating the person from the problem. Instead of getting onto you and saying, oh, you're lazy, you don't understand, you're so stupid, you're such an idiot. Instead of that, the problem is the problem on the table. Come sit next to me and let's talk about the problem. And now, instead of opponents, we're teammates.
Your kids are screwed. I mean, I had this whole visual as you were saying this of me like frustrated, yelling or stressed or exacerbated about like the pile of laundry or the state of the room or whatever it is, and then making a fuss about the problem, which only puts somebody on the defensive.
Every time.
Versus, like, imagine if you're standing in front of the kitchen sink with your family, or you're standing in front of the living room with your roommate, right? And you're like, this room's pretty messy. Mm-hmm. What should we do about it?
Exactly.
Completely different approach.
Without a doubt. And it's this idea of having kind of a need check of saying, let's take a time out. I want to make sure that I have time with y'all to do X activities. We also have a need to do the dishes. I need help with that. Or I have a need for your room to be clean. I have a need for this house to be clean. What's your need? How can we help with that? So when you use the word help, people love to be helpful. Mm-hmm. This ability to, instead of just attacking them, that you don't understand, you don't get it, you're lazy, or you don't care. Those are all words that just cut for no reason. When your problem is not them, the problem is the issue.
Wow. You could use this with anything.
Anything.
You could use this if somebody's playing too much video games. You could use this if somebody's not taking care of themselves. The problem isn't the person. It's the issue that is bothering you and this need that you have to see somebody either doing better or to see the house picked up or to see like people helping out. That's freaking genius. I'm a little concerned because given that I'm a talker, it's easy for me to take this advice and just go blah, blah. Like I can apply it immediately because I'm not uncomfortable talking to other people. And I haven't had social anxiety since law school. But there are a ton of people that listen who do. And I can think of a particular friend of mine who is so amazing. And the second she's around other people, she just kind of clams up. Do you have any specific strategies or advice for somebody who would like to be better about just speaking and feeling more confident about it, or feeling like I can display authority a certain way if there are certain phrases or strategies? Like how do you coach people in becoming more comfortable in that regard?
I coach people the same way I coach my legal clients.
Okay.
And I walk them through a series of steps because you know as well as I do, when we send somebody out to be cross-examined, we're giving them up to the wolves,
right?
In many ways. I mean, their credibility, you have somebody who wants to hurt their credibility. There's somebody who wants to prove them wrong, call them a liar. So how do you equip them with the armor to take that on? Some of the basics of what I talk about is I want them to feel that they can say things very succinctly, meaning often people who are nervous to talk, have that social anxiety, they say too much, then they felt like they didn't say anything at all afterwards. Mm-hmm. And that just means they're watering down what they're saying.
Okay.
Let's put this in a scenario. Okay, so, sorry to bother you, Mel, but I have this, well, I mean, it's not really this thing, but it's, okay, so essentially what I really want to say is this isn't really something I'm too comfortable with, but I mean, that is what you see the 99% of.
Yes.
The 1% says, takes a breath, lets their breath be the first word that they say, and says, this is not something I'm comfortable with. Period. You see how different it is? The
Yes.
same thing, it's the same objective. One is watered down, the other is served to you straight. And so you find ways to eliminate the water from your drink, so to speak. You got to get rid of all the ice cubes, the over-apologizing, the putting your words down before you even get them out. That's where you experience real growth and real change in your sentences. What you say is who you are. The power to communicate is that you compress your entire personality into just what they hear you say.